Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Easy SAP ABAP. In my last video I started a new series and there's going to be a playlist on YouTube for it. You guys should definitely check that out. If you have any sort of ABAP experience, or no ABAP experience, but you have experience with other programming languages, especially those that support object-oriented programming, that's a series that I'm really excited to share with you. So do check that one out. But as for today's video, we're going to be talking about how to extend SAP standard tables with our own fields. So a lot of videos out there for beginner ABAP developers show you how to create a new custom table, a table that doesn't exist yet, that's entirely your own custom fields, your own entire custom data, elements, domains, all that good fun stuff. But as it turns out, in most business cases, we don't need an entire new table. We sometimes just need to add a field to a table or a group of fields to a table. And I found that to be way more of a common practice in many business scenarios than to create an entire new table or set of tables and custom applications and all this stuff. Sometimes we just need a new table and we can find an enhancement spot somewhere and we can populate that field and display it later on. So we'll show you guys today how to use Append Structures, which is one of the methods that SAP provides so that we're able to enhance a table with additional fields. So we're going to use the flight model tables for this example. We're going to go to transaction SE11, which is the ABAP dictionary. We're going to go to database table SBook, which is our list of bookings. And if we look at it now, these are all the fields that we have. These are provided by SAP. They're all standard. There's no customer fields in here. We can look at the data browser for this, and we can see the last field here, past name. Look at one record, past birth. So it's not showing everything, but if we went and selected width of output and just put it wider, we'd be able to see. Scroll over to the right. Past birth is the very last field in this table. So say we needed another field. Let's see what's something that this doesn't have. Oh, let's just create. Okay, I got an idea for a few fields, so I had to familiarize myself with this table again really quick. So to create new fields in this table, we can't just go into this table and say change. In order to do that, we're going to have to perform object registration, and it's just going to be a whole thing. I mean, we're modifying standard SAP objects here if we're doing that. So to prevent from doing that, there is another way that we can do it. Just go into this table in display mode, and if we look right here, we can see append structure. So an append structure, you can create, and essentially you define a structure, just like any other structure in the ABAP dictionary. And this structure, you define the fields, the data elements, search help, all that different stuff. And then you can access those fields from that structure as if they were a part of this table. But the append structure is going to be in the customer namespace. So you're not going to have to modify SAP objects. So that's the beauty of an append structure. You'll also see later on something called an include structure, and we'll get into that later. But for the majority of anything that I've worked on, we're gonna use append structures. So I'll just go ahead and define an append structure. This is table SBook. Now an append structure needs to start with ZZ to prevent any sort of naming collision in newer versions of these tables. So we'll just call it ZZ SBook. Just a table name with ZZ, customer namespace at the start. So now it's just like we're creating a structure. We're going to go ahead and give it a short description. I'll just say custom append structure for SBook table. And then we need to select a component which is going to be just like a field. So maybe we want to say, I don't know, sales type. Give it a typing method. We can do a type, just a basic type, ref2 or box type. We'll say types. Sales type, let's just say that's a character. Let's say it's character of length 10. So nothing too crazy there. And now let's just say that we want to add another field, sales date. So maybe, you know, these are fields that we need. This is going to be a type date that SAP doesn't provide. And we'll just say sales time. Types. You know, I don't remember what the actual built-in type for this is. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's just say SY time. So length 6. So we've got sales type, which is up to 10 characters. We've got sales date, which is a date. Sales time. So maybe we wanted these. So now all we have to do, once we've created this append structure, we're happy with our fields, we can go ahead and check it. Save object, hit yes. We select our package. In this case, I'm not transporting it, so I'm going to do a local object. So I wanted to show this to you guys. So while the append structure is prefixed with ZZ, the fields must also be prefixed with Z. So that way, SAP knows this is in the customer namespace. This way, during upgrades, you know, or service packs, any of that stuff, it's not overwritten. SAP is able to say, well, this is customer namespace, we'll leave this alone. So we'll go back. Let's just do Z before each one, just to prove a point here. And then if we click check again, save object, we can see field Z sales type does not lie within the customer namespace. So this is one of those things that it's unusual because you say, well, it's prefixed with Z. If it's Z, it's customer namespace, Z or Y. Well, SAP reserves Z as the first letter in case they want to have something that starts with a Z. So no big deal. What we do is we say ZZ and check. Click save. So now we only get these two warnings: enhancement category for table missing, enhancement category for include or subtype missing. Those are warnings, those are no big deal. We can go ahead and activate this anyway. And part of those warnings are due in part to how SAP actually created the technical settings for the table when they defined the enhancement category. So it's no big deal. We're going to eventually enhance probably ZZS book to add more fields, change them as per customer requirements. So we'll just go ahead and we won't maintain an enhancement category. Since it's in the customer namespace, we can go ahead and modify it anyway. So we're just going to let this run. So we'll get this message: warnings occurred during activation. Do you want to display the activation log? I could say yes. It'll show me everything was fine except for that. Those two warnings I already explained to you guys. Field name index is reserved. Do not use structure as include in DB table. That's no big deal there. So basically you're just scrolling through this activation log to make sure everything's okay. So, you know, you can go back here and click activate, and it's going to give you the same thing. But this table, this append structure is active, so we can go ahead and just click no. We don't want to display the activation log. And now in the bottom, we'll see the success message down here that says active object generated. So we know we're okay. I don't think you have to activate the table, but let's just go ahead and try it. Make sure. So we'll see warnings occurred during activation. Do you want to display the activation log? Let's just say yes. If we scroll down to find our warnings, field name index is reserved. Do not use structure as include in DB table. That's no big deal there. That's something built in from SAP, so we don't need to worry about that. That's no development that we made. So now we see active object generated. So if we go over here to contents now, and just go ahead and do width of output list 999, execute on the selection screen, it'll show us our table. And now if we scroll all the way over to the right, we can see our ZZ sales type, ZZ sales date, and ZZ sales time. If we select a single entry, we can see our custom fields down here that we added, and an initial value for the time. So that's wonderful. Our fields are there now, and let's write a quick ABAP program just to go ahead and show you guys that those fields were actually added to this table. So we'll just say Z underscore SBook underscore new underscore fields. Create a program. Let's just call it testing new append structure for SBook. Type is just going to be an executable program. Application, you'd pick this normally. I'll just say basis for now. We'll go ahead and save it to the local package, $temp, so it's a local object, not going to be transported. Give that just a minute to run. There we go. So now let's go ahead, let's just say tables, SBook. And let's say, to start with, let's go ahead and write some data to these new fields. Okay? Let's write, let's do an internal table, the global table, SBook, standard table of SBook. And let's get a work area, a structure, SBook, type SBook. Now, let's go ahead and select everything from SBook into table, our global table, SBook, our internal table. Then let's go ahead and loop at gt_SBook into GS SBook. So we're just looping at that internal table into our work area so that we can say, GS SBook, and then we can access the fields and modify them. And if we come down here, we'll see that our ZZ fields have now been added as a part of this table. So let's just go ahead and do some fictitious data in here. Let's see, a ZZ sales type equals, what did I say, 10 characters? Let's do website. This ticket was booked on the website. GS SBook, ZZ sales date. Let's say all these were booked today. So system date, GS SBook, and ZZ sales time. All these were booked right now. So current system time, and then we'll modify SBook from GS SBook. So we'll modify the actual table, SBook, the built-in ABAP dictionary table, from our structure after we've changed the certain fields that we want to. And we'll just say, let's go ahead and just check if it's successful. Should always, after a query and any operation in OpenSQL, check and see if it was successful. So go ahead and save this program, check it, no syntax errors. We'll go ahead and activate the program. It's been activated. And now we'll go ahead and do F8 or click direct processing to activate it and run it right here. So it's going to take a minute to run. What it's doing is it's going through every single booking in the SBook table, and it's adding these 3 new customer defined fields in that append structure. So once this finishes, we can go into SC11, or we can write a simple query here, and we can display our actual data from that table. So I think in the spirit of this channel being about SAP ABAP, I'll show you guys in just a real quick minute how you can write a program that will display fields from a table in an ALV. So we'll go ahead and do that as soon as this finishes. Alright, so we see our message down here, success, which is what we coded right here if our return code was 0. So we can go ahead and assume that those fields have been modified in our actual SBook table. So let's just go ahead and verify. So there's a couple of ways you can display an internal table. I mean, you could always go into the debugger and look at it that way. But let's go ahead and, see if we can't teach you one more thing while we're here. So we'll say global reference table type ref to CL SALV table. So we've at this point selected everything from SBook into our GT SBook table. Now we're going to do Control F6, I believe it is. Yeah, Control F6 or click pattern right here. We're going to use an ABAP objects pattern, and then we're going to call a method on the instance global reference table, so gr_table The class we're interested in is CL_SALV_table. And the method is the factory method. And if you're familiar with the factory design pattern, you'll understand what this is doing. Go ahead and uncomment the things that we need and remove the things that we don't from the parameter listing. And if you're a fan of SAP style guides, they actually don't recommend you use call method anymore. They recommend you do it this way, which if you're more akin to other object-oriented languages, you'll understand, a method call between parentheses. But if you're not familiar with that, you'll learn it. So we're just going to specify the reference that we created for a table and the actual internal table that we want to display. And then we'll pre-print this to get it back where it needs to be. And then we're going to call a method on our reference to CLSAV table display. What this is going to do, this method creates a SALV table instance using this internal table as the display contents. And then this method display, well, it's kind of self-explanatory. It displays the table. So now we'll just do check. We'll activate our program. And then we can go ahead and direct process it. So we'll execute it. And what this is going to do is it's going to go ahead and select everything from this SBook table into our internal table and then display our internal table as an ALV grid. So we can see here for our custom fields, this is our ZZ sales type, ZZ sales date, and ZZ sales time using the current system date and system time. I'm off a day here on my system time, guys. Don't worry about that. That's just the SAP host I've got. It's got the wrong time on it. And you can see we got website for everything. All 100,000 records updated to the same thing. So you'll notice, like I said, guys, you do have those fields towards the end there, and because this is a data dictionary field, you can see the help for it there, the tooltip, and it's got a name. This data dictionary field doesn't necessarily have all that. So if we wanted to go in and enhance that, we could go back into SE11, display our SBook table again. We see our fields down here. Go to our append structure, and we could actually double click on one of these. So you see this is a built-in type, so it's not going to have any of that built-in information, labels, any of that. So a lot of times, we'll create built-in our own data types when we're making an append structure. So instead of char10, this will be a data element ZZ sales type, and we'll create a data element. So that way it'll display. That's the recommended way to do it. If you're not too much worried about it, if it's a field that's going to be used in one report or something like that, you could just, say in this program, for example, let's see here. We've already got a reference to our table here. We can get the columns, get the specified column that we're looking for. Was, what did I say, ZZ sales _ type, and then I'll set medium text, long text, short text. It doesn't matter because there's no text. I can say sales type, ZZ sales date. And I'm sorry, this is the most interesting thing in the world. I hate to make people watch me code for something like this. But just to demonstrate that there's more than one ways to go about doing this. You don't have to create, a custom data element or domain or any of that. And I don't remember what I called these fields. I think this is it, so we'll see. If we check it, we're going to get a warning because this, I thought we would. I thought one of these methods raised an exception if it couldn't be found, but we'll go ahead and activate it. And then we'll go ahead and run it again. And if we look, I got them all right the first time. There we go. So we look at our new custom fields in this table: sales type, sales date, and sales time. All of them are populated with the same thing from all the way down to the end. And we actually have in our ALV display these columns with a title text for the column. So that just about sums it up for append structures, guys. Append structures are, to be honest, like the easiest way of adding extra columns to a built-in SAP table. I mean, you got append structures, you got include structures. We'll talk about includes, in a future video. But this way you don't have to modify an SAP table, which is not something you want to do. It's not best practice at all. So again, as always, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment section. My email is in the description of most of these videos. You can find it if you go snooping around for it. And I'll try and respond to you as quickly as I can. But, if you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and thank you all for watching. Goodbye.